Awesome. So we are now live. So hey guys, hope you're having a great Wednesday. I'm bringing Martin on today. He's just finished with us in the 1% Blueprint over the last 12 weeks. By all accounts, absolutely smashed it. Looking and feeling his best, charging his way to 40, and yeah, taking the ball by the horns and by all accounts has smashed it over the last 12 weeks in the program. So he's kind of taking half an hour out of his day for me to give him a quick interview, find out what he worked on, what's been important, the changes that he's seen, the success he's had, but also some of his key takeaways and revelations from going through the program. So it's been a really good one for all of you guys to watch. So I'll just hand it over to you, Martin. You want to introduce yourself and just sort of say who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Luke, and thanks for giving me this opportunity as well. Um, so I'm Martyn Redstone, as you said. I work in the recruitment industry. Basically, I'm a consultant that works with recruiters to get the best out of their technology. It's pretty busy life, pretty busy job. On top of that, married, two kids, two girls, four. Nearly got it wrong there. 4 and 6. And yeah, it's a bit of a crazy life. That's me in a nutshell. Yeah, did you want me to jump straight in and talk
Yeah, I was
about?
going to say.
Yeah,
So then. Sorry, I was just trying to tag you whilst we were talking on the.
no worries.
So I think you probably saw. I think it wasn't by LinkedIn. It was actually one of my Facebook ads. You joined the free Facebook group.
That's right.
About sort of 30, 40 weeks ago. Then you decided, you know what, like enough's enough. I want to have a chat with Lou. Like when we first spoke, what was going on? Like what was not working with your own like fitness, mental, physical well-being? Just give us a sense of what was going off.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. So I joined the free group because I was really quite interested in doing something about the situation I was in, and I quite liked some of the stuff you were saying, some of the messaging you were putting out, and I thought, yeah, this guy's kind of hitting switches and buttons in me in terms of what I kind of need to hear. And then we arranged to speak, and we spoke, and we were going through a few things, and one of the things that I had a kind of a list in my head, I suppose, of things that I wanted to fix and things that I wasn't very happy with. Yeah, I think anybody who starts it off usually starts it off with something around weight,
Yeah.
body image, those kind of things, and they were really important to me. I know you posted up my kind of before and after pictures. You can see in my before picture, I wasn't looking in the best shape. I can say that quite honestly. And obviously I wanted to do something about that. But along with that, there was some other kind of health concerns that I had that, I wasn't happy at my blood sugar levels, and wanted to kind of move myself away from that issue. Like I said, I'm a pretty busy person, and with a bit of a hectic life, so I wanted to have help trying to understand how I can make my days better, make my schedule better, and also some of the other kind of mindset stuff that we talked about originally, around how to cope with kind of the pressures of life and how to prioritize what you want to do, but also how to, and one of the other mindset things was the fact that to get to the point where I was having to buy new clothes all the time because I wasn't fitting into my clothes, and it was getting a little bit stressful, to say the least. Every time I kind of got dressed in the morning, my wife kind of saying, that doesn't really fit you very well, you need to find something else. And so
Demoralizing as well, isn't it?
it was pretty demoralizing, yeah, pretty
We discussed
frustrating.
this, and it was like that. We want to start your day in a positive or a negative or whatever else. And like, although it might not seem like a huge thing, but like each day, if you're like, oh, fuck, I don't fit, or you're like, no, like it's just one like little negative just to start your day with, and then that kind of sort of thing can cascade over time, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, you can see the pictures of kind of where I started, and being able to kind of see some of that body through your clothes, because your clothes were getting tight and showing up all your lumps and bumps. It was it wasn't great for me either. So we spoke about it, and I was on the fence a little bit, in all honesty. I and that as well. Kind of, we had a couple of conversations, and I'm not the easiest person to sell to because I've been selling for most of my life as well. So
You work in recruitment, right? So that's
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So I don't really do the whole kind of press stuff. So I had to really think about it, and I was going through a lot. I'd moved house at the time and everything, but actually, one of the biggest things for me, as we spoke about originally, was I'm fast approaching 40. I'm 40 in April next year, and especially with two young girls as well, I want to kind of I wanted to get to my 40s, and I wanted to turn 40 as the best version of myself. And I really needed, for want of a better word, to kick up the arse to, to get there, really. So I just thought, do you know what? If I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. And the way that you were positioning the program, the way that you're positioning yourself through your content, through our conversations, really sat nicely with me, because we've all been there and done it. We've all, gone on fad diets, and we've all gone and got personal trainers in the gym and what have you, or gone to boot camp. And, and I don't need, somebody at Fat Fighters, measuring me every week and trying to give me nutritional advice. I don't need, a guy in camo action trousers screaming at me in a park. I don't need any of that. I know what works for me and what doesn't. And I don't, it's not going to help me, to say the least. I'm sure it will help some people, but it's not going to help me. What I needed was a coach. I needed somebody who could give me help in finding my own way. Could give me different methods and different levers to pull. And for me, in my world of what I do as a job, data is really important. So I want somebody who can work with me to measure data, understand data, and understand how to change what I might be doing, pull some of those levers that I just mentioned, to change up some of the data depending on what comes out. So, and for me, I know that works really well. And in terms of how I work with somebody. So when you started talking me through some of your methodology and some of the way that you do things, it was just really sitting quite comfortably with me. So I just thought, like I said, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. And at the time I had 9 months, to kind of get to my 40s, and thought, I'm on a countdown now. I need to do it. Yeah. So we went for it, and 12 weeks ago started your program.
That's a nice segue. Before we do that, I think just to sort of have a think about, what do you think was your biggest struggle prior to starting? I mean, we discussed, like, then you did your 12 weeks ago, we started and we could talk about what we went through, the success you've had, and what your main takeaways are from going through the process. But I guess also being clear, like, what was holding you back when we spoke? Do you think? If you could name one thing, what do you think it was?
Holding me back from starting the program, or holding me back
from not being where you wanted, like,
Oh, okay, yeah. So I've tried so many times in my life, and there was one point, and I think I was pretty much there when we spoke, where I got to this point of thinking, I'm obviously one of these people that's never going to be able to do this, because I try. Sorry, I've got carpet fitters in, if you can hear that background noise. But I've tried and I've tried, and I get to the point where I lose a little bit of weight, maybe 4 or 5 kilos, and it just kind of plateaus off and stops. And then I think to myself, what's the point? What's the point in trying anymore? This is ridiculous. And then go back to my old ways and start piling on the pounds again, and going back to where I was, or worse sometimes. So that was my key challenge, really. And a lot of the stuff that you were talking about in terms of intermittent fasting and what have you, it was all, I've tried it all before, but I just thought, well, there's got to be something in it. I'm not one of these kind of crazy people that needs to be kind of taken into a scientific lab and taken and studied for somebody who it's impossible to lose weight, and get fit again. So it's
why you say that, though, because I think a lot of people can relate to what you said. In my experience when I chat to people, it's like, well, maybe it's just me. I've done everything. I do everything. It just doesn't work. And that's when, that was when we spoke, and I was like, mate, you are not defying the laws of physics. Like, it is more than possible. Like, you aren't the one anomaly in the universe. But it can feel like that sometimes, especially if you've tried everything. And I think often what can happen is things that you've tried and maybe worked a bit historically. That's often in your past when you've got a different role and different, life demands and all the rest of it. So for me, often that it's not working is there's a method that doesn't work, and there's an approach, but it doesn't mean it's you're broken.
Well, no, absolutely, and to that, I hear so many times, people in my circle, in the circle, wider circle, saying things like, it's genetics. I'm just genetically fat, and there was something that you said, which was nobody's coming to help you. This is all down to your. It was something like that, where
it's like, to save you. I think that's
that's right. This is all on you. And so I just sat there and thought, actually, you're right. I can't blame this on genetics. I can't blame this on my parents, my grandparents, etc., etc. Ultimately, it's down to me. Genetically, are you overweight? No, genetically, you probably just eat too much. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's there's no such thing in my opinion. And so I've come up with all the excuses in the past, and I think that when you said that, in terms of just you've only got yourself to blame, it hit me, and I just thought, do you know what, you're right, I need to get myself sorted.
Okay. Cool. Well, I think that's that. Thanks for that, Mike. I think it's just good to sort of look at like where you were, because that place I think is a not to belittle your situation. And I say this a lot when I speak to people. It's not to belittle that, but it's common. And I think if there's people sitting there going, "Fucking hell, maybe I just can't do this," you can. But it's about that. I believe understanding what you need to do, how you look at those levers, and then also taking ownership and responsibility. Okay, well, look, the reality is, fucking something isn't working right now, and that's okay. We need to make some changes. So if that's where we were, fast forward 12 weeks to now, like 10 kilos down, tons of centimeters off your chest and waist, blood markers in a really, really good range and dropping content still from the blood sugar diabetes range. So that's like some of the main headlines. What was the process like? And what have been your main kind of takeaways from having gone through the journey?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was I didn't know what to expect. In terms of you kind of given me a few kind of tidbits around what the process and the program looked like, but I came into it totally open to knowing that I wanted to get something done and achieved, and so I was happy to hear the ideas and the advice and what have you. And actually, I remember talking to you after about week 3 or so, and saying, yeah, this isn't actually that challenging. When is it actually going to start getting hard? And you said, don't worry, it's coming. Yeah. but actually that was the way you kind of I felt all the way through was, most of it is about creating really, I want to say easy. I don't mean easy. I mean comfortable objectives and goals every week. And I found that really, really useful. It wasn't, I like I said, I think that some people kind of want over the next 10 weeks you're going to do this. Over the next 12 weeks, over the next. Whereas for what I found was, every week setting down some really quite achievable goals. And layering those goals every single week, in terms of, right, now you've done that, you can do this. Now you've done this, you can do that, and not just expecting to go from 0 to 100.
Yeah, exactly.
And so for me, that ended up becoming quite a nice kind of foundation to build upon. And so, yeah, the last 3 weeks was a real kind of, let's now push you and see and show you what you can achieve. And I thought that was really an interesting way of doing it, because you're not saying, first of all, we're going to do this with you and scaring the living daylights out of me, but towards the end, I was like, I was almost in awe of what I could achieve. And there's a lot we spoke about in terms of the running that I've been doing, and how I'm doing kind of my quickest kilometers now and my longest runs now kind of on a regular basis, and it's fantastic. But the first 3 weeks, before we kind of spoke and I said, this is easy, actually, that's the bit that I felt was the most important bit, looking back on the last 12 weeks, because that's the bit where the foundations are laid, the non-negotiables, as you call them, the stuff that you do every day. And, and I've been out of the program for, a week now, and I'm still doing those every day without even thinking about it. They're just habitual. And I'm not going to spoil any secrets and say what they are, but they don't impact me at all, in terms of, they don't take me out of my day, they don't take up any time. And I think that's the bit that everybody.
I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth. Well, that's what I believe. I'm telling you, I think, but it's like, these things aren't things that car crash your life. They're actually things that will make you look, feel, and operate better.
Absolutely.
And it's a springboard for the other stuff. But without that springboard, then it's that, the analogy you give, like, you're doing your fastest 1 week, 1Ks and 5Ks and stuff. If in the first bit, right, you're running 5K every day, you'd be like, what the fuck, is this guy gone mental?
Exactly.
Like, you haven't been doing anything. So it's like, but by the end of a process, you're like, yeah, I fucking got this. And that's such a different way to operate, I believe.
Yeah, oh, totally. So I think layering, those challenges and those goals and what's achievable was really quite nice, because because it made the process comfortable, not scary. And I think that's the challenge when I talk to people that have done similar processes, they give up. They give up halfway through because they're just finding it too difficult, and they're feeling as though they can't achieve anything. And when somebody feels like, and I'm the same. If I feel like I just can't achieve something, I'm just going to give up eventually and just think, is it really worth feeling like I'm letting myself down?
Failing,
Yeah, and you're failing, and I've not felt like that at all. And and every week, and one of the other things that I really like is the fact that, and I mentioned it earlier on, is that working with you hasn't just been about, do 100 push-ups or run 5K. It's also very reflective. There's a lot of mindset work that we've done together, and so mixing up the weekly goals with both physical health and mental health and mindset stuff has been really nice, because again, it's not been intimidating, it's not been scary. Yeah, some of it, a lot of people would think, it's a little bit airy fairy, but actually it's all been really complimentary, and really quite, dare I say, nice. It's been quite a nice program.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that, because maybe as men, like, nice doesn't sound nice, and I think possibly by some of the content I put out, if people read it in the wrong context, they think it's all like, oh, you've got to take ownership for yourself. So that's basically like calling yourself a cunt, excuse my French, and being really mean to yourself and beating yourself with a stick. That's not what it's about. Ownership, in my opinion, is looking at yourself, being reflective and going, okay, some stuff needs to change here. I do need to take control of my actions and my choices, and they need to change. But it's not about battering yourself with a stick, and it's not about, it doesn't have, just because you're doing that, doesn't mean things have to be horrible and hard and a grind. Quite the opposite. You want to be a high performer, perform at your best and look at your best. Doesn't need to be constantly hard, because you run yourself into the ground. So no, I think nice. That's what it should be. I believe the things that I help guys do and we do in the program, it's not about here's a load of shit, hang on by the skin of your teeth for 12 weeks and good luck, you might have lost a few kilos. It's these things should fundamentally help you live a better life, be a better version of yourself, and they're actually complementary. Like you said, they're nice. They're not like, oh fuck, I've got to do that. That's not that's how I look at it. Does that resonate with your experience of the program? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. It's it really does, and I think that's spot on. I think what you've managed to do is create a program that and one of the things is that you're on a program with other people. Yeah, I mean, I know that you do other things, but this program is all about working together with a group of people who you don't know, who are all from different walks of life, who all look different, who all sound different, who all do different things. And it works for everybody, because it's not a one size fits all program. It's not, right, I've just got a template and you're just going to follow that template. Like I said, you're giving us those levers to pull, and different ways of dealing with different obstacles. Yeah, there's some standard things that we do that everybody kind of does together, but there's the opportunity to review, the opportunity to have a look at how you're progressing, the opportunity to change things up in a way that works for you. And I think that's one of the key benefits has been that you're not just kind of said, right, okay, here's a piece of paper with your checklist on it, I want you to do this for the next 12 weeks. It's even though it's not been a one-on-one piece of work that you and I have done together, it's very much felt like that. And I think that's part of why it feels quite nice, in the best way, the best word that I can use, is that it has felt quite personal, even though you've been in a group of like-minded men who are all trying to achieve similar things, and we can all bounce off each other, and that's been great as well, is having that camaraderie and and being able to bounce off of people and encourage people, and people talking through their different challenges and their different and their different ways of achieving different things. It's been great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and of course I'm biased because it's the group, and I love that, but I think that it's the one-on-one conversation versus the group, and I think both are powerful, right? I do work with clients one-to-one, but most of my clients are in the group program. But I believe, because actually that group environment, what you maybe lack a tiny bit on the having just the complete, the power of it is having others that you're with that are going through the same stuff. And Yeah, a surface level accountability. You say you're going to do something, there's other people watching, yeah. But actually, I think that's only a tiny part of it. For me, it's especially guys, we are shit at opening up and talking about things. Having a safe space where you're talking to others, not that we're all, it's not that it's like a big therapy session, because that's not even what it's about, but it's like to be able to talk through and be open and honest about your situation. And you go, oh, that's it. And yeah, I'm there to coach you, but equally, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 other guys on the call sometimes who've gone through that. Someone might be further on than you, and I go, hey, Bob, like you were struggling with this last week, mate. What do you? Oh yeah, so and you're like so and sometimes maybe it can be like, well, Luke's coach, so he's got his shit together. Doesn't necessarily mean that anyway, but anyway, it's easy for him. Well, actually, there's a load of other boys here that are going through the same process, and they're going with you. So I think for me, I feel like that's an empowering environment to be in when you're going through this process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, one of the things that I think is quite nice from people who are going through the process's perspective is you as that group leader as well, because actually you're embodying some of this stuff. You're not in the gym 24/7. You've got a business to run, you've got a family,
Exactly.
et cetera, et cetera. And like I said, some of these personal trainers that you can hire who are literally in the gym 24/7, who are just standing in the gym shouting at you for half an hour and then going on to the next client and shouting at them for half an hour. It's not, it's totally different. You're embodying this, and you sit there and go, I haven't had time to do this and this today, but I've done my non-negotiables, I've done my foundation stuff, and that's all you need. And sometimes is just to have somebody going, do you know what, I'm there with you. Yeah, it's fine. And that whole kind of phrase of perfect is the enemy of good enough, it resonates so much with a lot of people. I've used it literally over the last 12 years, using it in my professional life as well. It resonates because a lot of people strive for perfection, and they get, it affects them negatively.
Yeah, and that's where you fall over. And that cyclical nature that you described, having done a few things, tried everything. Often, in my experience, where people fall over with that is it's a rigid, strict approach. So, and it will probably bear fruit. It will get you results if you follow it, strictly. But then the problem is you haven't thought about, changed, or done anything fundamental to how you've been operating anyway. So you're following a rigid thing. Well, you deviate from that, falls over, you failed. Well, I need to do that perfectly, otherwise I can't work. So anything I do has to be absolutely perfect, otherwise not. And that's where things fall over. And part of what I'm passionate about is going, it's the absolute opposite. If you've got some simple fundamentals and you've got a foundation and that's serving you quite well anyway, yeah, you can push it and like pull the levers harder where you want, and like there's shiny stuff you can do. But if you've got a fundamental that you just let bubble under and it doesn't have to be perfect all the time, that will serve you so well. But we don't. That's not human nature and how we operate. But I think building that in and then giving you the confidence to see that those simple things have such a big impact, then it's like, well, okay, what's next now? But we often start, I think, 10 miles down the road where we should actually be looking at the low hanging fruit. And
I totally agree. And I think if I reflect back on where I failed in the past, it's been exactly that, where I've woken up one morning and gone, right, today's the day I'm going to get on with it, and I try and like go out for like a 10-mile run, and then the next day I'm like, I can't feel my feet, I don't want to do this anymore. And so and that's exactly it. I think you're right. I think that's exactly where a lot of people do fail, is they try and hit it hard rather than thinking about building a strong foundation for success, which is what you've really helped me with. Absolutely.
Cool. So, by all accounts, I think you've done amazingly. Like, lost a load of weight, measurements, and mindsets in a great place. What would you say, like, if you could say one or two like main takeaways that you would have taken from this program, like your key learnings?
So I mean, I can't reiterate it enough, really. Getting the foundations right has been my key takeaway, because I know now that if all else goes wrong, I'm traveling for work, whatever, I'm on holiday, anything, life gets in the way of everything. Let life get in the way. But knowing that you've got something habitual there to fall back on, which are things that don't actually get in the way of life getting in your way. Yeah. So that would be my key takeaway, is that I've left this program with some strong, solid foundations that I can live my life by for the rest of my life, and that sets me up for success every single day. So that's key takeaway one. Key takeaway two: it's not as hard as people think it is. I think that's literally one of the most important takeaways from this has been, I feel like I've achieved loads. I know that I've got a long way to go to achieve what I still want to achieve personally, and you know, and I'm going to do it because I know I can do it now, but it's not as difficult as people think it is, as long as you've got those foundations in place. The third thing, and I said this to you, and I think you put it on one of the ads as well for this, is if I look back on 3 months ago and I think to myself, what would I have done if I hadn't have signed up for this program? I probably would have done the same thing. I probably would have gone, I don't need this. I'll go out for a 10-mile run. I'll kill myself and I'll give up. And it's true, you know, or do you know what? I'll probably do something. I'll probably last a month. I'll probably go out for an Italian with my family, and I'll stuff myself full of pizza, and the next day feel like I've totally and utterly failed myself, and then fall into, you know, this downward spiral of just sod it. It's not, you know, it's not worth it. It's too difficult, and gone back to the way I was. So basically, what I'm saying is that I think that even though it was a bit of a yes, and you know, I was on the fence a little bit with the decision. If I look back on it, actually, it's probably it would have, if I could look forward 3 months from that, it would have been a ridiculously easy decision. And if I look back on it, I would think that if I hadn't have signed up for it, I'd still be in the same position I was 3 months ago, with only 6 months left before I'm 40. Yeah. So I feel like I've given myself that, you know, that kind of jet propelled boost towards, you know, achieving my kind of goal that I want to achieve by the time I'm 40 in April next year. Don't forget a card. And but I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't signed up, because I'd have tried to do something else myself. I'd have failed. I know that, you know, and I'm not ashamed to say that. So yeah, so I think for me it was well worth investing in myself, because I just wouldn't have been able to have done it without it.
Awesome. I think that I guess there are three great key takeaways, and I think the last one as well, the fact that, like, if people want to engage and keep working with me after the program, that's an opportunity. We had a conversation. The reality is, you know, you're in a position where you're like, actually, you know what, Luke, I'm cool. Like, I've got this, and for me as a coach, that's job done, because it shows you that you've got confidence in your abilities. We've given you the tools, so you're like, yeah, okay, I know I've got some work still to do. That's cool, but like, I am well on the road to getting there, and I will get there. Like you said that with absolute certainty, and that's the point, right? It's that. Yeah. We've built up that sustainability piece, and I think that is so important, because it's great doing all this stuff, but if you don't believe it's going to serve you long term, then what the fuck's the point? Is what I would say. But you're a prime example of, you don't need that, and I think we said, as long as you're up for it, when you're 40 or, you know, in the next few months, we'll get you back on and we'll show that everything we've discussed is a fact, you know, and that's
absolutely awesome. Absolutely, you know, and I said to you, you know, I'm laying it out there that, you know, April next year you can have another before and after picture, and we'll get on a call and we'll talk more about it, because, you know, I know that the tools that you've given me as part of the program mean that I can manage my own success. You know, the tools, the methods, but also the mindset behind it. I think, you know, everyone can have tools and methods, whatever, you know, the things that you the things that you give us aren't rocket science. You know, I'm not taking anything away from me. They're really not. You know, but ultimately it's up there that makes a huge difference, and that's the bit that you've given me and other people that are on the program, is the mindset to be able to achieve more. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Martyn. Well, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. As you know, I think you're a rock star, and you deserve all the success you've had, and I know you're going to 100% get to that place without any question. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope it's been really helpful for everyone watching. Before we get off, if someone was thinking of joining the 1%, they've got questions about the program, they're on the fence, like, I'm not sure, what would you say to that person?
Well, look, firstly, I'm a member of the free group, so feel free to ask me any questions. I'm always happy to jump in and you know, and answer any questions truthfully and honestly. I, you know, don't get anything out of it, you know, so I'm happy to give people any kind of thoughts, but I think, as I said, 3 months ago, if I could have looked forward to this point, because I was on the fence, I was umming and ahhing, and we had a couple of conversations about it, you know, 3 months ago. But if I could look forward 3 months, or I could travel back in time, I'd be telling myself, don't, just get on with it. Don't think about it. You know, invest in yourself. You know, get on with it, because you're going to come out of this after 3 months feeling the best that you felt probably forever. if not in a very long time. So don't think about it. It's well worth it. You can't fail. It's such a easy and nice program. You can't fail. So don't be scared that you're going to fail. Don't be scared that you can't achieve it. Everybody achieves things. You're not going to come out of this and look like a men's health cover model, but you're going to achieve so much more than that. And so don't think about it. Don't and ah about it. Just get on with it and do it, because it'll be one of the best decisions you've ever made.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Martyn. That's a ring endorsement if I don't say so myself. So thank you very much. But equally, I know you mean it, and I'm passionate about that. So thank you. Again, Martyn, thank you so much for your time. Very much appreciated. Like we said, we will get Martyn on again in the future, so you can see the impact that this has long term. For anyone who is interested in having a chat about the blueprint, how we can help, drop a note in the comments or give me a nudge on Messenger, and we can book in a chat. Other than that, again, Martyn, thank you. Have a fantastic Wednesday, guys. Let's get after it. Cheers.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.